What's good, guys, and welcome to episode 10 of the Evo 5 build. It's Ollie back on the Project Race Car YouTube channel. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. The plan was to finish on episode 9 with the something big is coming cliffhanger sort of thing at the end of the video, and there was plans set in place to get the Evo finished, well, somewhat finished as it can be, for the 18th of October, which would have been BHP Fuel Fest in Exeter at West Point Arena. But since the COVID cases have started rising again, they have decided to cancel BHP, so that's no longer going ahead. But why is this any relevance to you? Well, that was because we were going to stop releasing content on the build and then still film everything as I was still building it and everything, and as everything was still going on, and we were going to bring you the behind the scenes of getting it to the show, and then we had planned to release a 1-minute teaser video of its release, saying the stand that it was going to be on and where you could come and see us and finally see the car. But now that BHP is not going on, we may as well just continue the episode as normal, and we will probably reveal it at some point next year, although you will pretty much see the build, but seeing it on video versus seeing it in person is still two very, very different things. So we probably will still be planning a reveal, but for now that means that there will be no lack of content, but obviously there will be varied uploads and stuff depending on when I can get time to get stuff done and things. You know how it works. But yeah, just wanted to address that, guys, at the start of this video to make sure that there was no confusion. But that was the original plan, but now that's been thrown out the window because, you know, bloody COVID and all that. But there's nothing we can do, so we're just making the best of we're taking lemons and we're making lemonade, basically, if you like. But anyway, that's it from me. Definitely stay tuned, grab a drink, grab a snack, and enjoy the rest of the video. So my Setrab 25 row oil cooler did arrive. I'm not going to film most of this because fabbing up brackets like this and shit is just not very entertaining to watch. So, but that's what I'm doing. I'm fabbing up these brackets, and we're going to get this 25 row Setrab oil cooler mounted up. This is what we ended up with on the oil cooler mounts. Now we got one bracket up here that goes to the bottom of the wing here. We got one bracket that's an L shape that goes to the chassis mount up in the corner, and then we've also got this bracket here which bolts to the chassis. The horn will bolt onto here as well and bolts down to here onto the bottom of the oil cooler. And as you can see, it is very, very solid. It's not going anywhere. And also, by doing it this way has enabled me to mount it slightly different to the stock one. The stock one was further in that way, and the oil inlet and outlets were on this side, whereas this time I've been able to mount it so that I can put the 90-degree fittings on this side and on here, so I can run slightly shorter oil cooler lines. Doesn't really matter, but if something happens and somebody hits this side or something, it means that it probably won't snap the fittings off this side, and they're just a little bit more protected in by the chassis rail. So that's how I ended up mounting it. All of these brackets are made out of aluminium, so it's nice and light, and the core is aluminium, so I reckon it's quite a little bit lighter than the standard unit. Not that that's going to make any difference, but I just thought I'd throw that fact in there. Okay, so now it's time to get this Evo 9 Turbo from mock-up and get it out, because with massive thanks to Fraser Waitman on Facebook, if you guys need any Evo parts or anything to do with Evos, this man is a legend. He'll pretty much have anything you need. He's just fantastic. Shoot him a message, and Fraser, if you're watching this, good luck starting up on yourself, mate. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much for sorting me out again. We've got the new hot side that's not cracked for the Evo 9 Turbo. Now the one that's on it probably will work fine, but it's got a crack in between the hot side, in between the twin scroll runners, the bit that I'm showing you now. This one also, it has 2 snap studs, and I can't get the studs out. I'll show you them in a minute. This one does not have 2 snap studs, which is great. So this one's just going to work better. And also, because I'm an idiot, I have the rad fan still. Ignore that bucket, that's full of wiring, because a couple of friends stripped the wiring down and pulled all the conduit off ready to rewrap it. I have the fan and the motor still, but I gave the rad fan to Jack a while back when he needed a radiator for his 8, and we had to swap the fan shrouds, and he gave it back to me, so it's not his fault, but I probably threw the fan shroud away. So again, massive thank you to Fraser for hooking this up. It looks a little bit rusty now, but it's all surfaced, so that's going to be one of the jobs today, is to take that off and clean it up. And we've got a fresh tin of Hammerite over here ready to address that rust issue. So yes, massive thank you again to Fraser for hooking those bits up. Definitely go and shoot him a message, guys. Also, my catch can setup did end up arriving. It's a little bit big, but that's fine, because I wanted a big catch can. I'm in the middle of fiddling around with the bracket that mounts it, because I'm mounting it over here. It's in mock-up stages at the moment. Obviously the hoses aren't complete. This one still needs to be shortened a little bit so that it's not quite so over the top. And I've also started mocking the boost pipes. Don't worry, this will be welded here. That's just there to hold the 2 bits together, so don't worry about that. But I'm pretty much happy with how this layout is coming along. Custom DIY heat shield. It's only held on with like normal 10mm bolts, but I have got some longer countersunk bolts so that I can use the gold washers with them and stuff. It's all in the details, so it's all coming along now. We've got the power steering reservoir back in. I've got all the power steering lines back in and everything. I've done quite a bit off camera just because I've been here fiddling around with friends and stuff, and Travis as well. He's been involved quite a bit. Intake manifold is loosely bolted on so that I could mock up the boost pipes. So that's got to come off so I can finish porting that. I've been putting it off, and I don't know. So, and since we got no deadline anymore with BHP being cancelled, we don't have a deadline to have it done by, so I'm probably going to end up using the 70mm throttle body and just putting that on. But I don't know how I'm going to get the 2.5-inch pipes to work, because that's basically a 3-inch inlet, but we'll figure it out. And also, hopefully the turbo will be going on fully today, because we have the fitting kit here and the Evo 9 J pipe. So fingers crossed. Let's stop waffling and get cracking. I really need to clean my bench off. Okay, so now that I've port matched this in here, and it's nice with the gasket, that's just a rough cut by the way, I am going to put a seam of weld right the way around here, just because it's only tapped in a couple of places and it's welded around here, but the inside the edge. But the weld around here will mean that this stays permanently strong, this flange, and that it won't blow off or crack or anything when it's under boost, because that's straight off the turbo, so you've got to imagine there's probably going to be about 25 psi straight through there. So we did get one spot where it blew through, but that's not a problem because we got a good penetration all the way around. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is put it back in the vise and take this down with a die grinder and smoothing it out. So now there's a little bit of material that I'm going to remove out of the twin scroll area of the exhaust manifold, of the actual exhaust housing, and it's only a tiny bit, so it's predominantly from this edge and this edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and knock that down a little bit. We've got quite a bit of material we can remove from the actual exhaust elbow side, so we're going to take some out of there as well. So there's one thing that I've noticed that I'm in the middle of asking questions about, and it's that's my 3-inch downpipe, or turbo elbow, or whatever you want to call it, that bolts onto the downpipe. Now, this bit here, obviously if you look at the shape of the actual exhaust housing, the actual shape of the wastegate, you'll notice that it is definitely not round. So you can see where the gasket has been sealing on this one, and it's sealing it around a round hole. Now that, I don't know how well that would flow, so I'm going to look into how well that restricts flow. I know the wastegate is only open when it's on boost, and the actual exhaust makes much more of a difference. But funnily enough, there's a hell of a lot of material around here as well that I could get away with removing. But then again, whether that goes from a 2.5 to 2.5 and then it opens up inside, we need to figure it out. So also, I won't bother smoothing this anymore with any of the stones because it's already smooth enough. The actual inside of the exhaust is much less smooth than the finish that I've done with the carbide bit. So these are awful and brilliant at the same time, these carbide bits. They eat through pretty much any material you put them on, which makes this sort of stuff like quick work, but they are also horrible, noisy, and they make a ton of mess. Okay, so now we're going to move on to stripping down this fan shroud so I can paint the fan shroud, as it is fairly rusty. So this is the first side of the fan shroud all coated, and this is why I love Hammerite so much. You can literally paste it on, and even if you paint it with a brush, it still, well, it auto levels, and then pretty much all of the brush strokes just auto level, and it just gives you a really nice glossy finish, and it goes over rust spots and rust pits and fills them and coats them, and it's just nice and then you end up with a really nice glossy finish at the end of it. And that's why I like Hammerite so much. So we've got the turbo all mounted, and it's got its fitting kit and everything in there as well, up to the oil feed on the head. None of it's tight at the moment apart from the coolant lines that are actually onto the turbo, but it's all in there. The fitting line that goes to there, and then that one there goes up to here. So we just need to get some I need to get some black silicone hose that will go from there to there and from there to there. Pretty short, but I've still got all the clips and everything, but it's mounted, everything's on. I did actually end up damaging the thread, pulling the stud out of this one because I wanted to put one of these nice Mamba studs in, but it damaged the thread, so I'm gonna have to recut that thread slightly so I can get one in there. But yeah, that's more or less how it's going to look. I do have a turbo bag to go on there. This is probably a cheap one, so we're going to see how this does, but then we'll probably get an expensive one from like Funk Motorsport or something, or maybe if they'll work with us we'll sort something out. But it's on there and it's all good to go. That's going to do it for this episode of the Evo 5 build, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It turned out to be quite a long episode, but I hope you liked that as well. Got a lot of stuff done, a lot of content recorded and time-lapsed. But yes, I hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget to check out the rest of the episodes on the channel. Stay tuned for more coming in the future, and yeah, thank you to all the key workers. I think that's about it, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Take it easy.